Hello, I'm Philip Brunelle, Artistic Director and founder of Vocal Essence and organist choirmaster at Plymouth Congregational Church in Minneapolis. Well, for the first time in all of these sessions, I'm recording it from the bench in the choir loft at Plymouth Church. And each day I've selected a different composer who's had a role to play in these organizations. Today it's the American composer and organist, David McK Williams. Born in 1887, died in 1978. He was born in Wales, but then grew up in Denver, and for the majority of his life lived in New York City. In 1911, he went to Paris to study with Vincent d'Indy, Vierne, and Widor. And from 1920 to 1947, he was the organist choirmaster at that beautiful church in New York City, St. Bartholomew's Episcopal. I met David back, probably in the 1980s. He was then in his 90s. He was very active and very vibrant. And I asked him about the time that he'd lived in Paris, and did he have any memories, and he talked about the composers. And then he said to me, you know, I was at the first performance of Stravinsky's Rite of Spring. And I said, and he told me, I sat in the box next to Puccini and Debussy. And of course I was incredulous, and I said, you saw them? And he said, yes, but why were they together? Such diverse styles. Well, that was David. He was quite a fellow. And for many years that he was at St. Bartholomew's, he started an evensong program that was second to none. He was an amazing organist, and he would do orchestral transcriptions on the organ of great oratorios and cantatas of, well, he did Bach, he did Vierne, he did Verdi, he did Benjamin Britten, who was there in the service, and Elgar came, Walton. I mean, it was an amazing time, and it was the place to go on a Sunday afternoon to hear choral music. He also, as I said, was a composer, and he used that church. One of the pieces that was sort of everybody around in the 60s and 50s performed was a piece that he had written called In the Year That King Uzziah Died, those words from the book of Isaiah. And he said he wrote the piece in 4/2 time. That means that the whole note was the beat. And he wanted that because he said it gave it majesty. It had nothing to do with the speed. So here is the beginning of In the Year That King Uzziah Died. And then I'm going to jump to the very end when the text says, Lord, send me. Very beautiful, very ethereal, quiet ending. But the beginning, In the Year. Then, much later in the piece, when suddenly it gets very quiet, and it says, Here am I, send me. I think I first got to know of the name David McK Williams when I bought The Modern Anthology, a book of music by American organists, and it was one that was compiled by David McK Williams. And it's wonderful. It was written in 1949 and brought a number of organists who were organ composers together. So I kept it. I've used a number of pieces from it. And then it was in the 1980s I got thinking, okay, that was 49, but we need one of those now. And so I looked around, found lots of wonderful organ music. So in 1988 was published the AGO Anthology of American Organ Music, which brought together a number of wonderful composers from the past who had written organ music but were contemporary. And so Dominic Argento, McNeill Robinson, Myron Roberts. You know, in the introduction that I wrote in this book, I used words by David McK Williams, who said, "In all the creative periods of the world of artistic output, the life-giving elements have always come from contemporary creators. It seems to be an established truth that if our artistic lives are to be enriched, our peace must be disturbed, and the potent creator is always a disturber of our peace." These words were written by David McK Williams, and I was inspired by that to salute American composers of today. And so in 1988, I published this volume through Oxford University Press. So it's my hope that here we are in 2021, that someone else is going to look at the next generation of composers of organ music and say, it's time for a third anthology. I know it will happen, and it will be welcomed, and it will be a wonderful addition to music for our time. Now, I would like to play one more little piece of David McK Williams. When he was at St. Bartholomew's, they had a Christmas pageant every year, a sweet event. And in the middle of that pageant was a little song called "To Bethlehem," a piece that was sung by the shepherds as they came to the manger. Music of David McK Williams. Music of David McK Williams. Have a wonderful day.